Today we're going to try Kubernetes for the first time, or David is going to try Kubernetes for the first time, and we're going to try to deploy a simple node container into a locally running Kubernetes cloud. You are watching DevTips. I am MPJ.
And I'm David. This episode is sponsored by Sucuri. Sucuri is a complete security platform that protects your website from hackers and alerts you if it finds security issues. With website monitoring, web application firewall, and backups, you can have peace of mind that your websites are safe. If a site is hacked, Sucuri has a team of experienced analysts available 24/7 to clean it up quickly, so you don't have to. The monitoring dashboard lets you see any security warnings, or if your site has been blacklisted. You can also monitor changes to uptime, DNS records, or SSL certificates. The Sucuri firewall blocks vulnerability exploitation and DDoS attacks. It also includes a CDN that will boost your website speed by 70% or more. You can think of Sucuri as an extension of your team and rely on them to protect your reputation and visitors. Chat with them today for a demo or free trial. Use the discount code to get 15% off. Thank you, Sucuri. So we actually spent a lot of time getting everything up and running on my computer, and it was a lot of downloading things, and I have pretty bad internet here. So check out the Notion document linked in the episode description where we go through steps, and it took a long time, but it's basically just those 4 steps that we did, and we will now let you watch from when we just got that finally downloaded. In the meantime, we had a lot of fun with the chat instead, so that was fun having this live stream. And you will see that this is all recorded from a live stream, so this is a small experiment. And write in the comments what you thought about this format, and go to twitch.com/devtipsshow and what do you do? Follow, subscribe. I don't even know what you do there to
Follow.
Get notified when we do more live streams.
It started. So now it's running on your Docker thing involved. So now I think you can type something like, there's a command for controlling Kubernetes. And if you run that, you're gonna see like, run kubectl.
Hold on, streaming issues.
Kubectl. And then there is a subcommand of that called get. And then you type nodes.
Nodes. Minikube, ready master, 3-minute old.
Precisely. And the thing is, like, remember now, like from the last, VDMister points out that both plurals and singular work. Can you just write node?
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome.
That is one really good character, one saved character. Can never save too many characters.
So what I want you to do now is write Minikube dashboard.
Here we have it.
All right. So here we see I think that you can see like there's if we look at nodes. You see that we have one node, and I think that these, I'm not super familiar with Kubernetes terminology, but these are basically like the big ass controllers for things. Like it's it's the cloud controller, and this is what's gonna start deployments. And the deployment is what we're gonna create next. We're gonna create like a node deployment, and a node deployment is a thing that creates servers.
Okay, a node deployment is a thing that creates servers. Okay.
Now a deployment we're gonna create like it can create anything.
Okay.
By Node, I mean like Node.js. So we're gonna create a deployment that creates our Node.js instances.
Okay. So what do you want me to do now?
Yeah. All right. Let's. I'm gonna check my notes. Where the hell did I put those? Oh, those.
Wiedemeister says that you can go kubectl get no, saving yet 2 more characters.
All right. So I want you to create a little Node server. Do you have one ready? I could probably like.
Now, Matthias, let's do like this. Can you create it and share with me?
I can actually paste. I'll paste the entire server in the chat.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
Because
so let's just go to code, make their stream in app.js. Okay, got it. We have an app.
Sweet. Yeah. So if you run that thing,
the app.
Yeah, just Node app, just to make sure it works.
I think it works.
Yeah, let's try to access it from a browser.
What was the 8080?
Yeah.
It works.
Yeah, we can't see it though.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, hello world. Awesome. So now we're gonna create a Docker container for this. So create a Docker file. Gonna Dockerize our little Node instance. For us, points out that touch command saves going into Vim and saving the file.
So touch Docker file, but we have to edit it anyways, right?
Yeah.
So Vim Docker file. Okay, what do you want here?
Yeah. So first we want to base this this Docker image on Node. So from Node.
Node 8 like that? Or can I just do from Node and that works?
Not sure actually. Let's try it. Then we go expose, because we want to expose the server port.
8080.
Yeah.
And then we just run it.
No, we need to also copy server.js. Or no, sorry, what's it called? App.js, right?
Yeah.
We want to copy that from like our local environment.
Is that the direction you write it, or do you write it in the other direction?
That's correct. So this copies the app.js from our local environment into the directory of the working directory of the Docker instance or Docker environment. Terminology is hard.
Yeah.
And then we just tell it to run the thing with the command cmd.
And then let's do these things. Is this how you write it?
No, you don't. You don't need an array thing. It's just it's
like that.
Yeah, no quotes are needed and no.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're the boss.
Yeah, boss. I think that is it.
Nino Mali asks, what are we doing today? We are trying to run Kubernetes locally using something called the Minikube.
Yes.
And we've done this for a couple of hours trying to install it because I have really slow internet connection. So we haven't missed anything. So now we're just creating a Node.js app.
Yep.
And now I'm creating a Docker file that will download Node, expose the port, copy that simple Node app, and run it.
Yeah. here's like the prerequisites and today's tasks. I just pasted a link to it in the description.
Okay, should I just save this file? Are we done? Am I done?
Yeah, we are done.
And now, do I have to build this?
Yeah, you have to. The problem here is that if you build this here,
Yeah.
you're gonna build it in your Docker environment.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem with Kubernetes is that the way Kubernetes gets to like the built images is that it fetches them out of a repository. So the way you deploy things in real life is to have some kind of Docker container registry on like Google Cloud or Azure, and then you tell Kubernetes to deploy from those URLs. But that we can't do today, or rather, we're not gonna. We want to do this locally. So what you want to do is to switch so that you are running in the Docker daemon inside of the Minikube. And the way
First,
we do
what
this,
is the Docker daemon?
Good idea. Good question. I don't quite know. I don't have a like the Docker. When you run the way I theorize that it works is that when you run Docker build on this Docker file here, it has to put that thing somewhere. And I suppose that it puts it into the storage of built images inside of the Docker daemon, like the running thing, like the environment. All right. Oh, yeah. Wiedemister has pasted in the chat exactly what I was going for.
It's a daemon that manages the containers.
So it says that containers being a small isolated group of processes. Yeah.
Yes, but what does this have to do with building the Docker file into an image?
Yeah. So if we just run Docker build right now, it's going to store it in your Docker environment. The problem is that Minikube has its own little Docker environment.
Oh, so when I have Docker running, the whale thing, that is one thing, and then I have Minikube, which is another thing, and I want to do with the Minikube.
Exactly. So in order to do that, we need to do the thing that Wiedemister says, like you write eval, and then a $.
What was that?
It was somebody doing things outside my door.
Okay.
And then you're going to write another terminal command, and you're going to wrap that in parens.
Yeah.
And it's going to be Minikube space Docker env. And Docker env has a little hyphen in it.
And just enter?
Yes. So what this is going to do is that it's a little bit hard to explain what this does without actually do run Minikube Docker and just that. Otherwise, it's so hard to explain what the hell happens. So you see, like what it does is that it creates like these export things sets like points the Docker commands of your instance to this thing. And these and what eval does is that it runs these export statements. So now if you run Docker PS, you'll see like a bunch of shit that is running inside of the Minikube.
Yeah.
And if you ran like Docker PS before running that command, you would just see like the Minikube.
I get it.
So now we can actually build our little thing.
And now I can run Docker build because it's now pointing to the Minikube Docker thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Should I call it something? How do I call it something again?
Yeah, you with the T, you give it a tag with -t, and we can just call it hello world.
MPJ server.
Yeah.
No, hello world. Let's call it hello
No,
world.
no, yeah.
Hello world, and I build it here.
Yep.
Oh, how fun to download things again. If you're new to the stream, congratulations, you didn't miss anything. We just waited for downloading and chatted.
Ni normalni. Yeah, I don't get the logic of Docker. If you like, we actually did a video last week, or like on Docker, like that is released on the DevTips channel that you should check out. Like we talk a lot about it and like do it like ultra basics. Might be helpful to you. Wiedeminster suggests that see it as a way of isolate processes from each other. There's a lot to it, but the main thing is that isolation.
So now we built an image, and we put the image, if I understand correctly, into the Minikube.
Yeah.
Thing. The deployment, or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
Do you call it deployment?
Well, right now we have not created the deployment yet.
Okay.
Which is what we are going to do. So we're going to create a new file called deployment.yml.
Capital or small?
Small. It's whatever you like.
Yes.
Yeah. So the first line is just going to tell you what API, what version of Kubernetes API to use. So it's just API version in camel casing. And the version is apps/v1.
I don't know what YAML is for kind of format, so I will just write here. What do you say again? Apps?
Apps/v1.
Apps.
So yeah, YML has colons.
Do you say slash or dash?
/v1.
V1, okay.
Version 1. It's an API version. And the next line is going to be what kind of thing we're deploying here.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is what we're describing with this file is a Kubernetes thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like this can be many different, like Kubernetes has a lot of things like secrets and services and deployments. And they used to have replication controllers before they invented the concept of deployment. So this is going to be a kind deployment, and deployment with a capital D.
Yep. Kind deployment.
Yep. And yeah, no, it's a kind that is of type deployment.
Oh.
And then we have, I think, next thing is a spec.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
And that is actually like a sub-object. So just press enter and indent.
How much indentation?
Yes, just one. Like whatever. I think that in YML doesn't, like, indentation really doesn't matter as long as it's consistent.
Okay.
We want a selector here.
Yeah.
And that is in turn a sub-object. So you can think of this as kind of like a JSON
Yeah.
You can configure this with JSON as well, but that's a mess in itself. And we're gonna write match labels here with camel casing.
Match colon labels or match
No,
labels?
match labels in one word. And then a sub object again.
Oh, God. Yeah.
And we want to, so here we want to, what we're doing here is we want to describe what things this is going to match against.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to match containers that has the label app. So write app colon and then hello world.
Yeah.
We can actually call it hello world label just to like start differentiating things, because like in real deployment you tend to call everything hello world, like because you learn to differentiate like what is what. But in this case, it's just going to be very confusing if we name everything hello world. So
yeah.
And on the same level as the selector,
yeah,
you want to write how many replicas we want.
So replicas colon.
Yeah, and we just want one for now.
Yeah.
And then on the same level as replicas, we are gonna write a template.
Yep.
And this is gonna be the thing that contains like the how you create like the node every replica, so to speak. And so it has a sub object or sub property called spec, which in turn has a sub property called containers.
Yeah.
So this can create like, so now we're gonna write like, this is a list of items in YAML. So you just go and indent one level, and then you do a dash and then a space, and now you can start writing the properties. So this is gonna have give this container a name, which you call node.
Node.
Yeah, like this, you can call this anything, but it makes sense for us since this container is only gonna be running node. It makes a lot of sense to just call it node.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you're gonna indent two more there because we're writing in this list item.
Oh.
And now we're gonna put in like a little thing here called image pool policy, and set that to never.
Image policy never.
Image pool policy.
Pool policy.
Pool policy. And the reason we're doing this is that pull as in git pull.
Pull. Ah.
The reason why we do this is that by default Kubernetes is gonna try to pull the image that we specify on the next line from the shared container, but that does not exist.
Yes. Okay. So the thing that we were waiting for just now, when it was pulling different containers, we don't want it to do that.
No, exactly. Like because it doesn't exist. Like hello world does not exist on like some central repository. Like it does. It only exists in our local Docker daemon environment. So that is where we want it to look.
Got it.
So here we specify the image that we built. So here, like this is the where you specify the tag that we built with earlier.
Have no idea what it was. Hello world.
Hello
perhaps?
world, I think.
Yeah.
And I wonder if we need to specify latest here. I'm not sure.
Well, let's just do it to be safe.
And then we also need to, finally, we need to expose the ports.
Do I do that in this item?
Yes. So
ports or expose?
No, ports. So ports is also a list. And each list item has a property called container port. And that is what you set to the node port that we exposed. There we go. We also need to do one more thing, like on the same level of spec. We need to go up a little bit.
Oops.
Yeah. Yeah. We need to assign each container that the deployment is creating is going to get some metadata. And that is going to be, so just write metadata colon, which in turn has an object with a property called labels. Which in turn has like not a list this time, it's an object. And that has the labels that we talked about, like specified before in this, before in the selector.
Here. Hello world label.
Exactly.
So it's app : hello world label.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this is what connects the containers with the deployment, so that deployment knows which servers that it's working with. So the deployment is going to, let's say that we had several replicas. The deployment is going to look for containers running that has this label, and if it finds that they have crashed, it's going to restart new ones.
Okay.
That's how it identifies them. And this is the deployment file. I think that this should hypothetically work.
Okay.
Cool. And I think that you can just now like use kubectl create and then use the deployment file. And you need to like pass that to -f for file.
What did I call it? Deployment.yaml?
Something like that, I think. Error validating data, unknown field replicas. I think the replicas perhaps is on the wrong level or something.
Should the replicas will be in the match label? It's now in the selector. Should it be?
No, it should be, yeah, exactly. It should be like the selector, replicas, and template are on the spec.
And the metadata should be in the what?
Yeah, the metadata is part of the template.
Okay. Woo. Okay, let's try that.
Exciting.
Unknown field metadata.
Unknown field metadata on. Yeah, metadata is one word.
Mm-hmm.
Because English is weird. I think that that's a weird choice of. Is that proper English?
Name or generate name is required.
Oh yeah, okay. I was hoping that we would get away without that, but I guess we don't. So you also need some metadata on top of the entire deployment. Just create a metadata object with the property name and call it something.
Hello world deployment.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, clear. Let's run this. What?
Hello world deployment is unsupported value. Oh yeah. It needs to be never needs to be capitalized.
What? Where?
The only place we use never. In the image pool policy.
Oh.
The error messages for the configuration files are surprisingly good, actually. I like that with Kubernetes.
Yes.
Oh, awesome.
Chat has been strangely quiet now. Is it because we're actually making progress?
Yeah, that's a problem. Like when we like.
Are you still there, chat?
Yeah, I'm just telling you commands to type out. Let's. Oh, VDMister says kubectl get all.
Can we shorten that to kubectl get a? No.
Fucking A.
Okay, what do we have here?
All right, cool. All right, brilliant. So now we have a deployment, and you can see that in the dashboard as well.
All right.
So VDMister points out that the deployment contains a replica set, which in turn contains pods.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look into inside deployment.
Oh, here is something.
Yeah, there we go.
So that's our deployment. Can I go into that?
Yeah. So you see here that now there's a replica set here, and you can hop into that.
Image hello world latest.
Yep, exactly.
And what is a pod again?
A pod is the actual server. That's
okay.
That's a Linux thingy. So you can actually check that. I think that is the atom. That's the smallest thing. That's the actual thing.
Okay, so it's added things like some ID here.
Yeah.
So pod is the container. Okay, thanks, VDMister. Or a group of containers. Okay. And it's running node that this image here.
Yeah, like that's good that he points that out, that it's a group of containers. So if you look at in the deployment.yml file again.
Yeah.
So you see like there's go down to the spec.
Yeah.
So you see like it says containers, not container.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay.
So this the spec, like I guess that describes a pod. So I guess that this could, for instance, like contain maybe a Mongo instance as well. Like I'm not exactly sure what you would keep like in the pod. That's thing that you want to be running on the same physical machine, I suppose.
Mm.
Maybe like an Nginx and a node. VDMister points out that containers groups in a pod share some stuff, mainly the network spaces, so they all see themselves. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. T-Software points out that you could like have a proxy to the actual Mongo inside here.
Okay.
Just for fun.
Now,
and just for fun, let's update it to 2 replicas.
Mm-hmm.
Because then, like, Kubernetes makes a lot more sense when you.
So how do I do that?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean we update it within here? Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
2.
Yep.
And what do I do now?
Yeah, and now you just delete the deployment. It's the same.
kubectl delete.
Yeah, and then the name of the deployment is the one that we specified
This
in
one?
the. Yeah, exactly. Oh, hey, you can. Oh, yeah, hey, you can.
Okay.
Use
deployment.
the file. Use the file. That's good. Just use the
or
file.
deployment.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, T-Software points out an interesting thing here. Shouldn't we be able to do seamless upgrades and let Kubernetes figure out what you change? Yeah, I would say so too. Like, is there a way to do it? Leader Mister points out it's a huge question. Oh, perhaps not for the stream.
Okay, so now I deleted it, and should I just create it again then?
Yeah.
Okay, so we got 2 pods here now. So if I go here and check them, we have the replica set. And it has 2 pods running.
Yeah. Sweet.
Matthias?
Yep.
I think we should begin wrapping this up. Is it possible?
Yeah, like we have this final step now. We need to just expose it.
Yes. But wait. First, before we expose it. So, okay, so here we have 2 hello worlds running.
Yeah.
But do we then have to expose them to different ports? What is the purpose of having the 2 ones?
Oh, well, just because it's cool. Like we are load balancing. Like we have just expanded our cluster to now to like this shows how easy it is to scale this thing.
Okay, so we could we in theory have like a couple of these node apps running, but then we could have like the one database running that both are talking to.
Yes, correct.
But they are the web service, so they are handling all the load with all the traffic coming in and back in.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Okay, this for people watching. I know that this is very confusing, and we won't in this video we won't see the benefits of this, but in coming videos we will see the benefits of this for real. This is just a baby step of getting things up and running.
Yeah. And I mean, the problem with this is like you won't really see the benefit of this unless you try to manage a bastard like this manually. Like if you have been like at a company where you have like an MySQL database running in production and like 2 things running in production and trying to like manage that when somebody is sick or like if something goes down or crashes and you have no idea what is the source of truth or anything. Like it's basically just like this house of cards running in your machine park, and you have it's just a like kind of like don't touch it kind of situation, and that is what Kubernetes solves. But
so let's expose them.
Yeah, so you expose things with services, and first of all, like all right, let's a new same thing as deployment, but we're gonna call it service.yaml. Yeah, and just this you can just write API version v1.
Is that?
Yep. And then it's kind service. It has metadata, and the name.
So let's call it Hello World Service.
Sure, that's a good name. Yeah, it's I like that because it tells us what the hell things are. And then on the same level as metadata, we have the spec.
Yeah, that has stuff.
Yep, and the spec has a property called type.
Yeah.
And the type of this service is a load balancer.
Like that? Or small ones?
That's correct. And service also like kind service also has the same naming. And the load balancer is going to work on some ports. And the port is so like there might be multiple ports that we're managing, but we're just interested in one here, but it's still a list. And each list item has a port property, which is the port that we're exposing. We're gonna do 80 for fun.
80?
Yeah, and then we're gonna point that port to something on our target pods. So we're gonna call this property is called target port.
Yeah.
And that is, what port was, where were you exposing? 8080?
8080.
Cool. And also we are going like on the same level of ports. We need to specify, I mean, we might have shit tons of things running in our Kubernetes cluster. So we need to know, like, the load balancer needs to know which pods am I going to forward traffic to as it comes in. And remember that we assigned labels to every pod being created.
Yeah.
That is what we're going to do here. So we're going to write a selector.
And a spec?
No, this is just the label here. So it's going to be app : whatever the label was that we assigned.
Yeah.
And all right, so here's the thing with the specific to Minikube is that we're gonna expose this externally. So on the same level as selector,
yeah,
we're gonna write a list of IPs of on the same level of selector. We're gonna have an external IPs property.
Yeah.
And IP is with a big P. Big P.
Okay. IP with small s after.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And this is a list of IPs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this, I don't know what it is, so you are going to have to jump out of this file and write, I think it's Minikube space IP.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the one.
So I can have multiple, but now we just have the one, I guess.
Yeah, and you don't need a property. It's there's only like single strings. Yeah, I mean, this should theoretically work.
And what do I do with it?
It works exactly the same as creating a deployment. You're just creating a service instead.
Kubectl create.
Yep.
And when what was it more?
Hang on, we can actually, like Videmister pointed out that we can use apply instead of create.
Okay, kubectl apply.
And then file service.
-f services.yaml.
Yeah.
No. And that's it?
Yo. All right, so
where do I find the services?
It should be
there.
Space.
Oh, here it is.
All right, brilliant. You see there's an external endpoint thing here that you can actually click for handy.
That one?
Navigation.
The annotations?
No, it's somewhere.
External endpoint.
Yeah. Does that work?
Hello world!
Bam!
How external is this? It's external as it's still on my local IP.
Yeah, exactly. So it's external, like it's externally. You have like a cloud running inside your Docker container, and then that is exposed up until to like your external environment, but it's still your computer.
Thank you, chat, for all the congratulations and sticking around. So this is like, I get what this. It feels. It looks very, very tiny, but it is huge.
Yeah.
But it's difficult to explain why it's so huge. So what we're having here, what I like here is that we have the load balancer. So if we had a ton of traffic, it will just direct the traffic to these different pods.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
Vietnamese points out that the kubectl, there's a kubectl command to do exactly what the service.yaml does. The thing is, like, when I'm working with Kubernetes, I really like having everything in like these YAML files. I actually use JSON when I work with Kubernetes because I tend to write scripts that generate JSON and push them into the Kubernetes commands, because then you can generate like different deploy scripts very easily.
So now when we have these YAML files, are they only for the Minikube thing? So if I wanted to publish this, so now this is running like a Kubernetes thingy locally, so we can if in the future experiment. Is it how difficult is it, and how much do I have to change it then to like publish it somewhere else on some other Kubernetes thing, like so Amazon or DigitalOcean or Google or wherever?
So the two things that are specific to like our Minikube instance is if you jump into the deployment file.
Yeah.
You remember that on the container spec, on the spec for the like the node container, there's an image pull policy. This would need to point to something on the actual registry.
Okay.
So we will need to like issue a command to put when we change something and deploy something, we would issue a command that deploys it and updates it here. So but that's otherwise this is exactly the same. So yeah, basically when you work with it, like I found that you have like these deploy scripts that has a JSON, but then it kind of like omits and adds certain things for your test environment and production environment, but generally keeps the same thing. And there's also on the service.yaml file, like the external IPs thing only makes sense for our Minikube, because that hard codes like our local one. And
which one was this?
Yeah, you see the external IPs there.
Oh yeah.
And again here, like I would use just a node script that generated this YAML file, but as JSON, and pushed like and ran like the Minikube IP command before pushing it like in, just to like create like these handy little scripts that run locally. And the thing is, like, a lot of this seems like a ton of work, and it is, but it's also because it's so insanely flexible. Docker Compose, for instance, is way easier to work with. Like it's a lot more like well packaged and a lot fewer steps. But from what I gather from people doing real deployment, you instead run into problems with that later because it's not flexible enough, and nobody really uses Docker Compose, like not professional. Like people have converged around Kubernetes because it's so extremely flexible and powerful, and you can do anything with it.
Cool. So we will have a follow-up on this because to actually do more things like perhaps add a database and actually see, it would be cool to sort of like see like which of the replicas am I on and that kind of stuff to sort of see what's going on.
Yeah.
Like if I were to visit it for real and then perhaps publish it somewhere on some of these providers.
Yeah.
Like
and
AWS,
perhaps, like,
DigitalOcean or something like that.
Yeah, and like have like the servers, like build something into the servers and make them crash randomly and see them restarting.
That would be really cool.
Yeah, Vidimister points out if you publish the image and share the YAML, you are done. We should like we're gonna put the when we publish this on YouTube, we're gonna put like this code in the episode description. Brilliant. Oh, and thank you so much, everyone in the chat. It has been like, it was so helpful to have you here, and it's so nice to have somebody with us on these first trembling steps of live streaming. Thank you, Communist, for your purple heart.
Yeah, and thanks for the patience.
Oh
because
God,
it was
so much wasted, so many mistakes, so much like, oh God, we should have prepared this, we should have done this, we should have. We learned so much from this.
But the best learning is to just go out in the deep water and then we just paddle.
Yeah.
No swimming. We're just paddling.
Yeah, I still think that this, for a first stream, I think that this went way better than I anticipated.
Yeah, and unfortunately, chat, I have to really eat now because I have a meeting in less than an hour and a half, and I have logistical things that I need to attend to actually make that meeting.
Right.
Matthias,
thank you so much. Bye.
Ciao. Thank you, Securi.